Sometimes, the devil doesn't flee because you shouted. He flees because you finally stopped answering the door. Let that sink in. Chosen ones, there's something you did recently, maybe without fanfare, without fireworks, without even realizing it, that just shifted your whole spiritual jurisdiction. You didn't announce it on social media. You didn't cry about it in group chats. You just did it. And heaven noticed. Now here's a fact most people overlook. Over 85% of negative outcomes in people's lives are not the result of bad luck, but repeated invitations to familiar chaos. What protects you isn't always a miracle. Sometimes it's a moment of clarity where you say, wait, I've seen this nonsense before. And just like that, you closed the loop. No dramatic exorcism, no holy water, just divine discernment with a side of fed up. Let's be real. Some of y'all didn't block the number to be petty. You blocked it because every time they call, your life starts unraveling like cheap thread from the dollar store. And guess what? That one tiny, invisible, intentional decision just diverted you from months, if not years, of unnecessary spiritual detours. So if things feel unusually calm lately, it's not a coincidence. It's not a setup. It's the fruit of that one choice. In this video, we're not just going to talk about what you did. We're going to expose why it worked, how it protected you, and what it's setting you up for next. Grab your tea, your journal, or whatever helps you stay grounded, because what you're about to hear is not surface-level advice. It's spiritual revelation wrapped in truth with just enough fire to set your timeline on holy autopilot. Let's dive in. Number 1. You removed access, not just people. You didn't just cut people off. You shut down the access points they were using to bring chaos into your life, and that's much deeper than just hitting the block button or ghosting someone. You made a spiritual decision whether you realized it or not. Because here's the truth. Some people weren't damaging your life through loud attacks. They were doing it through quiet access, through conversations that drained you, through little manipulations that made you question yourself, through subtle energy shifts that left you exhausted after every interaction. And the wild part is, it didn't even always look like toxicity. Sometimes it came in the form of just checking in, or just joking, or I didn't mean it like that. But over time, those moments added up, and your soul started noticing what your brain had been taught to normalize. What you did recently, maybe it was saying no to the invite. Maybe it was finally not replying to that text. Maybe it was choosing to take a different route, mentally, emotionally, or even physically. Whatever it was, it disrupted a pattern. And patterns are where spiritual warfare hides best. Not in the big, obvious stuff, but in the daily, repetitive loops that train you to keep doors open to people who no longer belong in your space. You didn't just remove them, you removed their influence. You took away the power they had to pull on your guilt, your empathy, or your fear of being misunderstood. And that decision was more than protection. It was deliverance. Quiet, unceremonious deliverance. The kind that doesn't get applause but shifts atmospheres. Now you're starting to notice the peace. You're not second-guessing your every move. You're not replaying conversations in your head all night. That silence you're experiencing? That's not loneliness. It's the sound of interference being cut off. It's the absence of emotional static. You're finally hearing your own thoughts without someone else's manipulation laced in them. That one boundary, that one shift, just sealed you off from a new wave of unnecessary nonsense. And the best part? You don't even need to explain it. They felt the access was denied. They felt the change. And now you're protected, not because you fought them, but because you finally stopped giving them the key. Number 2, you broke an invisible agreement you didn't know you signed. You did something powerful, and you may not have even realized it. You broke an invisible agreement you didn't know you signed. That sounds strange, but it's real. Sometimes we walk around carrying responsibilities, roles, and expectations that were never ours to begin with. Somewhere along the line, through trauma, manipulation, fear of abandonment, or the need to be accepted, we silently agreed to shrink, to please, to take the blame, to keep the peace, no matter the cost. We didn't sign a contract with a pen, but we signed it with our behavior. We signed it every time we stayed silent when we should have spoken up. Every time we took the hit just to avoid the argument. Every time we made ourselves smaller, so someone else could feel more secure. But recently you shifted. You said no, or maybe you said nothing at all. But either way, you didn't do what they expected you to do. You didn't fall into the old rhythm. You didn't respond like the you they were used to manipulating. And that broke the cycle. Spiritually, that act tore up the unspoken agreement. And what's wild is, as soon as you did that, the energy shifted. You might have felt guilt at first, or a strange tension in the air. But what actually happened was spiritual freedom. You reclaimed your authority. You stood up, not in rage or revenge, but in quiet refusal to carry what never belonged to you. You'll notice something now. People may start to act confused, offended, or even aggressive. Not because you did something wrong, but because their access was tied to that old agreement. And without that access, they're powerless. They can't use guilt. They can't use shame. They can't control you through your kindness anymore. And they know it. You protected yourself from so much unnecessary drama, stress, and spiritual heaviness just by shifting that one response. That one moment of, "I'm not doing this anymore," echoed into the spiritual realm and realigned your path. Now, things that used to trap you won't even tempt you. Cycles that used to follow you have nothing to hold on to. You broke a contract that was draining you dry, and now you're about to walk in a peace that can't be stolen.